welcome to Asking for a Friend.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited today. I'm actually
You
very,
are,
very excited.
and I
about
think
today.
we're live on we're live
On
on
Facebook.
Facebook, we're live on YouTube. So today, by God's grace, it seems everything's working really well. So
Yeah.
we're really excited
We
about
have a
that.
few people on YouTube. We have Anjaroge Wamboy.
Uh-huh.
He's waiting.
Waiting. All right,
Yep.
let's do this.
Emmanuel Lacoste is tuned in.
Okay.
Lois Chalo. Oh yeah, Lois is. I recognize that name
Oh,
now.
that's so cool.
As for revealed,
Evangelical mission.
Yeah,
We're going to give
she
them
is.
we're going to give them
Yeah,
a praise
just
for sure.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Koth on YouTube, tuned in. Lois Chalo, here, everyone. Are you on YouTube as well?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I should go to Facebook.
Yeah, go to
Man,
Facebook,
I mean, we
yeah.
should be coordinating. Okay, Persis is on. Persis
On
is just such a loyal person. I love Persis. It's great to have you here. I can see you as well. And let's see, who else is here? Tell us who you are, where you're from. Michael Wambogo says, sometimes silence is the most noble thing. My goodness, you've already started there. We've not even started the conversation, man. Ireri Amos is saying, watching from Kitale.
Great.
Really, really good to have you. We're Moravi and Carol and Jao, and we are many, we do many things, don't we?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's so true. We are pastors.
Yes.
We are authors. Speakers.
Absolutely. Parents.
Parents of three amazing. By the
absolutely.
time you have teenagers, you're a very humble parent.
Humble parents.
We're humble parents.
We are also marriage coaches.
And then in addition to that, I'm a trained marriage and family therapist.
Absolutely.
And he's a theologian in the family.
Absolutely. So
we
yeah,
balance.
so you know where we get all our wisdom from in the house. Hey. So tell us where you're watching from, but also if you have friends who need to be watching this, please link up to them, share this link with them, let them start a watch party for those of you who are watching on Facebook, and just get other people watching, because we want people to receive the stuff that's out here. This is a mentoring space. It's a space where, and in a society like today where there are not so many mentors, where people don't see examples that marriage actually works. So we're so glad you can come into our living room. We run several different marriage experiences, and but right now this is called Asking for a Friend. It's a weekly mentoring experience, and we're so glad you're here.
Yeah, we also run, as he said, a couple of different marriage experiences. The first is Ndoa.
Yeah.
And some of you may be familiar with Ndoa. It's a 10-week experience that helps couples build on their foundation or renew their marriage. So you could have gotten married, but you never had a foundation course, and you can tell that there are a few cracks in your foundation.
Ndoa is it for you?
Ndoa is it for you?
And then in addition to that, what else do we do?
We have our mentoring program.
Oh, yeah.
The
Ndoa Couples Community. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. We do the Ndoa Couples Community, and there's a link. If you're watching this on Facebook, there's a pinned link there. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's a link there. If you click on that, it takes you to the Couples Community. And what we do is that's our mentoring space. It's a space where we share content that is useful for your marriage. We also have great conversations. My goodness, today the conversations were sizzling. We always discuss the topic of the day the whole day before we actually come on. So I know some of you are waiting, because the conversations were just on fire today. So click on that if you'd like to join our community. And in addition to that, we just love hanging out with couples. So welcome to our home. So quite a few people. Tina says she's watching. Tina Otieno. Emily says, hello from Uganda. Woo! By the way, big shout out to all our UG fans. We've got so many our UG families growing, and there's so many of you, and we're so excited that you're part of this conversation. Let's just continue to share. By the way, we also have quite a few people from Abu Dhabi, surprisingly.
Oh wow!
Like I get, it's amazing.
That's interesting.
Just how international this is
becoming. We have Mark Anthony Sebukima from Kigali.
Oh wow! I love it. So nice. I love it. And then there's Lucy Nyoro is watching from Nyeri. So
from Nyeri.
That's as international as it gets here.
I didn't know that Revealed Evangelical is 9 years married and tuned in from Berlin. I actually didn't know.
I love that. Wamboy says watching from Langata. I love that.
Yeah. And then there's Jerry Jomo. Now there's some names that when you say Jerry Jomo,
it's hard for you.
It's hard for me.
Roll off your tongue. I think you need some olive oil or something.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I really just it can get a little crazy.
So hey, it's great to have all of you. We're so excited about this. Can't wait to jump into our show today. What's your high from this last week? We always start with talking about your high. I don't even know what your high is. What is it?
I'm actually feeling so much better.
Yeah, because I'm feeling now.
And I'm just feeling today. I just woke up and I was like, the winter is over. I mean, I'm really, really thankful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you had a hard week
I
last week.
had, yeah, just a couple of very rough weeks, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's so good, man.
Yeah.
That's such a high.
yeah.
You know what my high is? It's not bees. Can you believe it?
What is it?
Like today, I just decided I'm going to call some of my buddies that I haven't spoken to for a while
Yeah.
and just chat.
Wow.
No agenda. And you know, for a choleric to call you without an agenda,
And
just
in fact, I'm sure they were shocked.
it's like, hey, I just want to know how you're doing. How I can pray for you. Let's just hang out.
Okay.
And my goodness, I had such good conversations. I mean,
Yeah.
I've missed some of my friends. I've just because of COVID, we just not hung out
Yeah,
together.
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So I don't know why it just gave me such a buzz. I feel really good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, friends are important. Guy friends.
That is called
a
random acts of kindness. They
No,
actually.
it wasn't. Actually, it was me who got the
It was
kindness.
quite-
I wasn't. But I mean, it was just fun to call them
Yeah.
and just say, how can I pray for you? So
Yeah.
I love
I know.
that.
I know how that
I
is.
love
That's
that.
good.
Well, enough about us. We want to introduce you to our mystery guest tonight. We've got a fun mystery couple. By the way, they are celebrities. So
Yeah.
somebody say celebrity. So
Yeah.
these guys are going to be such fun people to talk with because I'm sure almost like 90% of you have met them or you know them. They're just fun. They've been married like a bunch of years, like 23 or something. We're going to confirm, but we were
For some of
estimating
you-
like 22 or 23 or
Or
something.
23, yeah, they'll confirm. Some of you were still in your diapers, when they were getting
Don't
married.
even go there. Yeah, we were in our diapers when they're getting married. They have 3 children and I think 3 dogs. It's like
I think
like
3 or 4 dogs.
like more dogs than children. He runs a ministry that has impacted thousands of people across different nations. She's an educator who runs an incredible, innovative school.
Yeah. And they met on a mission trip.
I mean, how spiritual does it get? I mean, that's so cool.
Actually, for me, I thought that in a mission trip they're supposed to be evangelizing, just sharing the gospel. But anyway, they met.
The Bible says, "Watch and pray."
Watch and pray.
Yes,
So
watch
anyway,
and
they
pray.
met on a mission trip in university.
So, without further ado, please help us to welcome our guests, our mystery guests. And I think they're here. Oh my gosh, we forgot to admit them into the house.
Wow.
All this time they've been waiting.
Oh wow.
So
yes.
Please help us to welcome our mystery guests, Simon and Sophie Mbevi.
Mbevi.
Woo! Hey guys.
Yeah.
Great to have you. We left you waiting at the front door. We didn't admit you in. Sorry about that.
Sorry, I kind of forgot.
We got carried away.
We're glad to be here. We're glad to be here.
It's great to see you. Pastor Sophie, you're looking amazing as usual. The man is looking after you clearly. And we can hear, we just introduced and he said, you guys have been married 20 something years. It's like 20 how many?
23.
23.
All right.
We got it.
Yeah.
We got it. Yeah.
You got it right. Yeah.
And then we said that you have 3 or 4 dogs.
There are 3.
Oh, okay.
That's so cool. Yeah, I said you have either the same number as your children or you have more dogs than children. We knew that it was something like that. So you're pretty accurate in your intro.
If it was up to our children, there'd be more. We have returned some.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
It's so good to have you guys. We've been wanting to have you on the show several times. You're such busy people. And so we really feel like we're privileged to have you here. You're good friends of ours, and we're so glad we can share this evening together. So karibuni sana.
Yeah,
Asante sana.
Thanks again for having us. I think you guys have come to our show as well, so we are glad to have you to come to this conversation. And I've heard very good things about the show and what it's doing to many couples. So good job.
Absolutely. And we love your show as well. Sober Sundays, every Sunday with Pastor S. That's such a fantastic,
From 9:15 to
show.
10:15, I'm like, whoa.
Absolutely.
You really have to be sober to be awake.
Only sober people. You really pushed us, by the way. Us guys are usually asleep by that time. And then I talked about the fact that you run Transform Nations International.
Yeah.
Phenomenal ministry with incredible programs. Man Enough, many people have heard about them. Eza, which is like Woman Enough. And the Woman Enough is right here. She's the one who runs Almasi School. So we're really glad to have you guys. So we're going to do a little quick thing that we always do to help people get to know you. So this is called Rapid Fire. And you guys have to be like Chojo. I know it's night, but I hope, Pastor Sophie, you should have your dawa ready with you for such moments. Huh?
Wait, I'm the night owl.
Good. Pastor S. Sana. Okay. So
I'm
in
the
1 minute.
I'm the one. Yeah, I'm the one who is trying to wake up. So
all right. So we're going to give you the question first. In 1 minute or less, how did you meet? Just tell us your version of the story, Pastor S. Less than a minute. Let's go.
The first time I met her, it was in Buruburu, and she ignored me. She didn't talk to me. But the second time I met her was in a mission station in Garissa, and that's when we began to interact. And I began to feel this is a woman that eventually is going to be my wife.
Oh, wow. I love it. Hey, that's like 2
so,
seconds.
so you went to the mission and you were watching and praying.
How you start praying? By the way, you did with like air and he was watching this.
I started with the prayer, and then after that I opened my eyes.
Oh, he was praying and watching. All right. I like that.
She was right there. And then, I mean, of all places, Garissa, which going there was a miracle, how I ended up there. And then she comes there for a mission as well, and we end up meeting there.
No, that was a real miracle. Okay, Pastor Sophie, your version of the story, because we know that his version is very cut and dry. Go.
Well, my version of the story is that I first heard about him from my elder sister, and then that place where he says he met me, he thought I was the house help in that house. So he was like, "You're not to the same level, you know."
I told you his story was omitting certain facts.
He found me washing dishes, and I'm that kind of a person that I can't sit still. I've got to do something. So yeah, so that's what happened.
So he spoke to you in Swahili and was polite.
Yes.
But so in the mission, like, did you see this brother just opening his eyes during prayer, looking at you? How did you know the girl was interested?
I was seeking the kingdom of God, literally. And then all other things followed. The scripture came true. No, seriously, I had gone to Garissa because I felt that it was a turning point for my life. And I had gone to, my sister invited me to go to this discipleship training school. And while I was there, one of my objectives was actually to seek God about my life purpose. That I was on a serious, it was a serious seeking mission for me. So I was not even thinking about marriage. It was the last thing on my mind.
And you found your life partner, not even your life purpose. Come on, I love that. So great. All right, so what we're going to do is called rapid fire. We're going to ask you some real quick questions. And so, Carol, go first.
Yeah, so Sophie, who would your kids say is a stricter parent, and who is the one the kids would find it easier to take advantage of?
I think I'm the stricter one. They find it easier to take advantage of Simon.
Oh, Pastor S, I can just see that. Yes.
Loving that.
Okay, Pastor S, what is one thing about you that Sophie wishes could change?
That I would talk more in terms of, the times that I go into a cave and I'm processing things. So for her, she wants to talk immediately and really talk about that. So I think she wishes I would just be able to talk right away when a conflict happens. And, we discuss that.
From her smile, I can see you got it right.
Yeah. Spot on.
Okay. So, Sophie, what's something Simon has done for you that has made you feel like a queen?
Hey, he bought this house that we live in.
Come on. I love that.
Something.
Wow.
Now, passing that one, no one can compete. I mean, now you've set the bar too high. All the young men watching this are just.
I thought you talk about the flowers and the fields.
I know. This is no romance without finance. I mean, you have to first provide
what
security.
What are flowers in a rented house now? Seriously.
Oh, that is so good.
I love that. Okay. So all right. Well, that one, nobody can compete. All right. Simon, what is one thing that Sophie brings into your life that you'd be lost without?
I think for me, it's the details that she has about, like, for example, details in the family, details following up, receipts and, utilities. We need to pay bills and stuff like that, I just get bored by going to the bank, having to follow some things. It's just so hard for me. But she just does those detailed things and keeps records and stuff. I would be lost in terms of documents if she wasn't there. That would be very hard for me.
Wow. I love that.
Living in the dark without
the bills will not be paid. I love that. You know, it's so funny because when you're a young guy saying to your girlfriend, "I'm lost without you," you don't actually even know what that means until you've been married 23 years, and you know now for sure you would be lost.
Yeah,
so good. Yeah. I love that. Well, you guys have passed the test. Well done. Brilliant, flying colors.
Yeah.
I think we can move on with our show.
Yeah. So today we were talking about the silent treatment, and there were fireworks in our community. We have a community called Asking for a Friend, and Asking for a Friend it's on WhatsApp. And every Tuesday, we discuss various issues that are related to marriage. And so today's conversation was on the silent treatment. And from the responses, it seems that this is a very common issue. Very common issue.
I'm surprised, by the way. When Carol picked this topic, I thought, no. But it's interesting just how emotive. I mean, for all the guys in our community, just thank you. This has been I haven't even read all the messages.
Yeah, I mean,
it was just a conversation and a half.
Yeah, so that was very interesting. So we'll start with you, Pastor Simon. Between the two of you, who serves the silent treatment?
Who's the chef?
Who's the chef?
I think both of us are chefs. It depends on the issues. I would say it depends on the issues and where it's coming from. So I think it's been to and fro. Okay. It's been to and fro, but I think when it's deeply emotive issues, confrontational issues, I think I'm the one who takes a bit of time to process that than she does. But there are also other issues where she's the one who says, "Hey, this one I don't want to talk about. I don't want to confront it because it may be too wrong." So it goes to and fro.
Okay. He's a chief chef. I'm just the assistant.
I was waiting for that because I could see her eyes going like,
She's trying to fight for herself. But
I love that. So we know who the chief chef is.
Chief chef. Okay, so chief chef. Again, that's another.
Yeah.
I'm having so many tongue twisters today. So explain to us what is going on. You see, so because from today's text, there are those who are very perplexed to be on the receiving end of the silent treatment. And so for you, I mean, you know, you've done so many programs. I mean, you do have a program, Man Enough. You have, interacted with, I'm sure, hundreds, if not thousands of men. So maybe you can explain to us, why do men enter their caves and refuse to come out?
Yeah. I think they say that the way our brain is wired, when things are very emotive, of course, there are other factors that affect that, like personality and several other things. But generally, men, when things are very emotive, they take a little longer to process, to connect that, because, they don't work from both sides of the brain as easily as women do. And so sometimes they're trying to figure out what it is. When I go into the cave myself, I'm really trying to figure out what is going on, what am I feeling, what should I say, and men tend to take a little longer to process that. And eventually, when they feel like I have a solution, then they'll be able to come back with it. Of course, sometimes they take a little too long. So I remember what Sophie began to tell me, okay, let's agree when you're going to get out. I know you need your time in there, but let's have a time. Is it tomorrow morning or is it tomorrow evening? Let it not be next month. Let it be, a few hours where you can process it. So number one is processing, especially emotional processing. Number two is trying to find a solution. Men feel lost when they don't know the answer. Yes. When they don't have an answer, they want to take longer to find an answer and then come out with an answer. Yes. But I think that's different for women, because sometimes they'll be processing, trying to find the answer when they are talking with you. But for the man is wondering, why don't you find the answer and then talk? But for the men, they want to find the answer first before they talk.
But then I feel you, my brother, that's for sure. where solution. I mean, for guys, it's all about solutions. What do you think about the theory about men only have 25,000 words to say also? So they run out of their words before the day is over. And Madame wants to engage with her 75,000. Is it 75,000? I don't know how true that is. Maybe you can enlighten us.
Well, it's actually true that when you put together all the words, even the ones texted and others written out, then men would have about a third. And these studies have been done severally in different continents. We'll have a third of what the women would channel. But I think when it comes to conflict, it's not as much as whether we are out of words. Is that we are out of words to express what's going on. That we are at a place where you want to have the right word to say, and you really don't have it yet. But it's true. I think women process more through talking because they have a lot more words. Men take longer to put a word into what they are thinking, especially when it's emotive. But yeah, that thing of many more words, it's true as well.
We need to come back to Pastor S at some point because I've heard him teach something about helping men process. I remember hearing you talk about just because for sure that thing is very revolutionary. For a guy, you don't know what you're feeling. For a ladies are from a very young age, you can sift through your feelings. You can tell I'm sad, I'm angry, you know. But for a guy, you just feel noise. You just feel a lack of peace, and you don't even know what.
You just say you feel bad, but you don't know what bad is.
And the ladies don't understand. You actually don't know how you're feeling, and you don't even know what caused it. You're just feeling and not at ease, and and you don't even know how to sift through your emotions to get there. So I think I'm going to come back because I think he has a really amazing tool. I hope you can remember that too, because I think for me, when I heard it, it was such a good one. But Pastor Sophie, I mean, tell us from your perspective, a woman's perspective, what causes women to do nil by mouth?
Okay, so I think when it comes to the two of us, I'm the one who wants to deal with a thing. We deal with it now, and we cover all the ground possible. So, and I think sometimes I'm a sucker for men. Let's get to the bottom of this, but I realize that, you know, for Simon, that is threatening. It is very threatening, and it really frustrates. So I will come wanting to talk, and he will sink deeper into his cave. So I end up like twice as frustrated. And so for me, so what I have decided is that I have learned to, why do we do it? Silent treatment. I'm getting to it, but I think with time, I've chosen to pick my battles. There are those that are mission critical, and there are those that, you know, you can just let it pass. If it is important enough, it shall be picked another time. So sometimes I will keep quiet because I think it is the best. You know, it is the best thing, you know, to keep the peace. And because I think the older I grow, the less capacity I have for drama also. My capacity for drama is becoming very thin. So I'm like, nah, you know, nobody's gonna die. This thing can be picked up. Or, you know, it's not as important. So I keep quiet, and I'm like, we'll pick it up. If it needs to be picked up, it will be picked up. But I guess it becomes shocking because maybe that's not what he's used to. So it's almost like, oh, you're quiet.
Come on, say something.
Say something. Has something changed? So I think why women do it, I guess women do it out of frustration because they're not getting what they want. So you do it and you realize this thing is not going anywhere. So you keep quiet because now will you keep shouting deep into this cave and
it's
nobody is responding?
It's so interesting. I mean, you speak, and I love the wisdom of 23 years, where it's like, as a young wife, I did it differently. Now it's like, there's some things that are not mission critical, because I suspect also when you're younger, everything is mission critical. You know, he didn't come home on time. That's mission critical. He didn't compliment her. You know, it's almost everything becomes mission critical. But I'm hearing almost something there that is hopefully a word for somebody listening. Not everything is as important as it looks in the scheme, the bigger scheme of things.
Maybe, Pastor, I could add something. Just from hearing her over the years, I think I've come to realize that sometimes as a lady, you keep quiet, and she can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I've heard her say and other women, when you're trying to see whether this man can realize he needs to change. So it's almost like a tool of getting the other person to change. Because you feel like, okay, if I keep quiet, maybe he's going to come back and say, okay, can we talk? Can we do this? So it's almost like I'm going to get you round into the place where we can talk. I think
that is so profound, because somebody actually raised the question. I think it was a woman who said this. And I don't know, I'd love to hear whether you agree with this or what you think. Because this person said, I feel silent treatment is a form of, this one was quite strong, is a form of emotional abuse, especially when the silence is maintained for days. And I mean, this person is talking about when somebody decides to weaponize silent treatment. And he says it causes fear and a rift as the other partner has to find ways to survive through the silence period. So this person is actually seeing it as abuse. I mean, it's saying like you're using it as a weapon. Almost, in fact, somebody even called it violence. It's like emotional violence. With
especially
your spouse,
for those ones who do it for weeks on end, months.
A few people even say they've done it for months, you know? Just really let your spouse feel the pain of what they've done.
Your anger,
somebody even talked about the fact that it can even it's been known to drive the spouse into somebody else's arms, because it's just like you're really pushing them away, you know? So, I mean, I don't know what you think about this. In your opinion, are there times when it's justified, Pastor S, silent treatment, or is it always wrong?
Yeah. I think it's wrong when it's taken too far. I would say if it's just a time for you to process and you have told the other spouse that I need, a few days, I need to think through this. It's just really hard for me. That one is, it's good communication, because at least they know what's going on. They're not wondering why you're quiet, why you're not talking, and you're not responding. When it's done the other way, even if it's for a short time, if it's for punishment, then it's not right. Because I'm trying to punish you, make you feel it, and that always pushes the other person into a defiant mode. And especially when it's done more than a week, I think it can get to a place where, depending on the emotional strength of the other person, that it could get very, it could feel like abuse, as you're saying, that this person is just punishing me, and some people could think too much and end up in a bad mental state. So I think it shouldn't be done. I mean, 3 days, if you need time to think through, or 4 days. If it's a lot more than that, then it affects everything else about the relationship, because you need to talk. You need to have conversations about children, about life, about other things. And when it's silent for 2 weeks, and it's true, Pastor M, I think I met a couple that were silent to each other for 6 months. By the time you begin to talk again, there's very little remaining out of the relationship. It's like you're starting afresh.
Wow. That's crazy.
As you say that, it's interesting that issues just keep piling. There's someone in the group who said that they've not been communicating, I think, for almost that 6 months, but that you cannot even tell, because according to her, the husband has perfected the art. When even when visitors come to the house, no one can tell that they are not talking to one another. But it's a very, very painful thing. So maybe Pastor Sophie would love to just hear your thoughts. Because when now it moves from processing, when the silent treatment moves from I just need time, I need time out to process, and it becomes that thing of punishing, manipulating, or even controlling. Night has moved, to something else. It has moved to to abuse. And indeed, even as we researched on this, we did say yes, actually, it can be some form of psychological abuse. But it's also been said that hurting people hurt others. Okay, and so it is very, very possible that those who use silent treatment for manipulation and control were themselves got this from somewhere.
Yeah, of course,
they've watched it happening from their family of origin. What would you say about that? And might you have any examples? Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I would say, okay, I was just thinking, listening and thinking that, they've said that marriage is your last chance to grow up. So
marriage is your last chance to grow up.
Yes, marriage is your last chance to grow up. And one of the key indicators of responsible adulthood is actually the ability to control yourself, to be rational, whatever it is that you do. And I think part of being rational is to, say, we have our differences, we have the way in which we are frustrating each other, but there is a marriage to run. There is a family to take care of, their children to take care of, in our case. And those functions must not cease. There must be a way of continuing, having those things continue. And I think in the case where there is a prolonged silent treatment, in a way, the other aspects of the union actually disintegrate. And it's a loss for everybody, both the perpetrator and the victim of the silent treatment. There's so much loss that beginning to build then will take a lot of resources. So I think the onus is on each party to just grow up, to just take responsibility and say, this is not serving the interest, the best interest of the marriage. Can we sit down? Can we decide that, sort of build boundaries around our interaction and say there is a limit beyond which we will not go? And honestly, I think if that doesn't happen, then breakdown, nobody needs to prophesy about it. It's going to come. It's going to come. So, and when it comes to where did I see it, family of origin, I say the same thing. Stuff happened in my family of origin. The players then were my parents. Now I am the lead actress in this act. So I take responsibility. I think that is what adulthood is about. So just being sensible about it, and trying however you can to resolve the matter at the earliest opportunity, but also seeking ways to deal with the issues. Because I think sometimes also we are dealing with unrealistic expectations that we have for each other, where I make Simon responsible, like fully responsible for my happiness. How do you even place such a burden on another human being? It is unrealistic, seriously.
You need to, I don't know if you're speaking to somebody here, because you're saying, how can I make another human being responsible? But I thought that's what love is about. Pastor Sophie, you're breaking someone's heart right now. I thought this man is responsible for my happiness.
The woman is happy.
I thought she's the one who's meant to make me happy. That's what we sang to each other in the wedding.
Make me whole.
Well, those were songs. Then there is life. There is life after the song. On the ground, things are kind of different.
So I think what Sophie is saying is that you take responsibility for your own health. Whether it's because there are people that you can do a lot for and they're still not happy because they have not chosen to be happy. There are others you haven't done much, but they're happy that you're there. But maybe Pastor time just to add, I think in my opinion, in a lot of growing up, we never saw conflict resolution done in front of us. I never saw that in our family. When something went wrong, people either fought or just kept quiet about it. And then I go to school and the teacher says, and I do, and we never really get to talk. So I come into marriage and I really don't know how to talk through. Without necessarily arguing or fighting back, but just talking through issues. And I think a lot of us have now seen good examples of conflict resolution. They even call it these days conflict transformation. How do you move the conflict into a place where everyone is better at the end of it? So without those good examples, then you're trying to deal with things here and you just don't know what to do. So you keep quiet and try to punish the other person because you don't feel listened to. Or you don't feel heard, or you don't have the words.
And I mean, isn't there just that feeling of power? Maybe the husband is out there, he's not listening, he's not being responsible. So I know the one nuclear button I have. There's a sense of where I feel I can put you in your place if I press this button. If I just starve you of words, kneel by mouth.
Yeah.
So it's something that just came out as he said that.
Maybe I could ask her maybe just how you train men and women, because you do EZA and you also do Man Enough. Just some of the skills that you equip your people with as far as communication is concerned, because it's a big thing. I mean, you're right, but we don't have models from home that we can fall back to, and so you might find that the silent treatment was it. In fact, today, as we were going through the questions, I never realized that it was an abuse, a form of abuse. I was like, what? As we researched, I was really surprised about that.
In fact, Carol Arriere, who's a good friend of ours, she's a psychologist. She says silent treatment is a very passive-aggressive form of emotional abuse. It basically communicates you lose, I lose, nobody wins. It cannot be positive. Silent treatment can be used to communicate contempt. It's a number one killer of intimacy. And so absolutely, I think you're absolutely right on that. Yeah. But I think your question you're asking is, Pastor S, how do you train, or Pastor, how do you train people?
Yeah, do you train and how? Maybe just a few, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe it's that too you're saying, Pastor S, for men. How do you help guys begin to understand how to process how they're feeling?
Yeah. I think the big thing for us men is that we were taught growing up, big boys don't cry. So we just stuff it in. We don't talk about it. We don't express our emotions. We don't even understand them. And so together with not seeing conflict as a place to get power over the other person, that's one of the things we say, that it's not about power and who has it and who controls this thing, so that you begin to use it in that way. And secondly, we talk about self-accountability. No one else can hold you accountable. You hold yourself accountable. Others can just remind you what you committed yourself to, but you've got to hold yourself accountable and be able to agree that you've done something wrong and you have the power to change it. It's not beyond you. But there's this tool we use just to help men especially just understand their emotions. And I think I would say to all the
get out your markers, guys, get out your pens. This is important. This is helpful. All right.
And I think I would just say to all the mothers out there that it's a good thing to train, especially your boys, this thing when they are young, so that when they grow up, then they understand those emotions. And different psychologists try to summarize the main emotions in different ways. So we use this one, and it's not necessarily the only one out there, but we find this just easiest for men. So we call it sachet. So S is for sad, being able to say, I feel sad. And what does it mean to feel sad? It's because of loss. There's a sense of loss. You've lost an opportunity, like a lot of men, come from work, they lost a job or an opportunity, and they feel bad, and they don't know what that bad is. And it's really sadness. And that there was something you want to get, and you lost it. You have a sense of loss, or you lose a relative or another relationship in business. So being sad, S for sad. Then A for angry. You're angry. And Anger is about frustration. You're frustrated. You want something and you can't get it. You know, you're trying to do something, you're trying to talk to someone, they can't get you. So you're frustrated, you're angry. And it's okay to say, I'm angry. In fact, we've taught our kids to be able to say, Dad, I'm angry with you. That's not bad. That's okay, because he's expressing what he's feeling, and now we can talk about it. But I think it's very threatening in our culture to tell your spouse, I'm angry with you. Then it feels like a fight. But really, you're expressing what you feel. And so anger is about frustration. 3 is being scared. So the third one is another S for scared, that you're fearful. You're scared that things may not work well. You're scared you might be misunderstood. You're scared that you may fail. You're scared that you may not have money next week. So being able to express that, I'm afraid. I'm afraid about this and that and what's going on. And then H is for happy. Happy. So happiness is about what's going on right now. Like, I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to have this conversation. I'm very happy to be enjoying ice cream right now. It's about what you're going through right now. So that's happy. And then E is for excited. I'm excited about what's going on. So being able to say, like, I'm excited about a trip next year. I'm excited about next week and the birthday celebration. I'm excited about, you know, what's going on tomorrow with my boss. So excitement. And then lastly is being tender. Yeah, tender is an emotion, and it's really empathy. You know, I'm tender towards you. Like 2 days ago, I was just tender towards Sophie because of what happened at work. You know, someone needed to move on from stuff, and I knew it wasn't easy for her. So I was feeling tender towards her, empathetic, you know, feeling tender in terms of love and good emotions towards another person. That's tenderness. So we just use that, and then we tell every time we meet together as men, we say, every man check in and say what feelings you're having and why you're having them. You know, and they would say, I'm sad today because I lost this yesterday. Then I'm angry because I just don't know how to talk to my wife. I'm trying and it's not going through. You know, when we get, you know, over and over again talk about using that tool, then men become easy to talk about their emotions, and they can process a lot better than when they didn't have the words to explain what they are feeling. So I think that's a tool we use, and it's really helped a lot of men.
Now, for ladies, as you're listening, you're thinking, duh, I mean, this is basic. Why would you teach anyone to say that, feel that they're feeling sad? But I want to tell you, this is revolutionary. Once a man begins to understand how they're feeling, it changes life. It's like women mature emotionally so much earlier. By the time you're in high school, a girl can tell you how she's feeling. When you ask a guy how he's feeling, he just says, he doesn't know how he's feeling. Let me tell you a funny story. I remember when I was 30, and we watched a movie with Carol.
Titanic.
I think it was Titanic. Now you're dating us anyway. But anyway, yes. So I watched Titanic, and I remember in the movie theater, as we were watching the movie, I just began to feel wet. My cheeks were wet. So I remember just going, hey, what's this? Like, I don't understand. What is this? Why my eyes? I mean, what's wrong with my eyes? Am I sick? Like, I didn't know I was feeling sad because the movie was actually sad, you know. It was such a strange revelation for me to actually go and process later and think, you know what? I think I was actually crying because I was sad about the movie. Like, it didn't hit me. And that's what I say for women. You probably don't understand just how emotionally delayed and obtuse we are as men. This is why we need a cave, because it's like I just feel I feel overwhelmed and I don't even know that
I feel things. I feel things and I don't know what those things are. But, you know, Pastor M, is also the way we are brought up, socialized. Because we're not allowed to feel those things. Culture doesn't allow us to look weak in that way. You know, I always like give this example. If Sophie was found on the streets crying, everyone would stop to ask her what's wrong. But if I found me crying on the streets, you know, they'll make a meme out of it and say, men these days are just crazy.
But it's true. It actually is. They're not, and I love what you're saying, because one of the things that Carol does with our kids is ask them, how was your day? And every day, just a chance for everyone to just give a blow-by-blow account on their day, but also just teaching him to express himself, to feel, how did you feel about that, you know? And I think it's just such a privilege. I look at him and I think you're such a privilege to grow up being able to talk like this. Because even when I was married, I didn't know how to tell my wife how my day was. How's your day? Fine.
Yeah.
Like it took me a long time to actually learn to unburden or to share, because I didn't know that that's how you socialize. I wasn't socialized that way. So I think you're absolutely right about men. So there's a question here.
Yeah.
What do you do when the silent treatment escalates to a sexless marriage and any effort to deal with the issues, including seeking counseling, seem not to be working? Because the other spouse does not want to put in whatever effort, and whenever a slight conflict arises, they threaten to leave. So this spouse is basically withholding any conjugal rights, let's put it that way, as a weapon, and basically as part of that silent treatment, and also basically threatens to leave. Whenever there's conflict, they threaten to leave. Any comments about that? What would you say to this reader who
says that? And this is to both Pastor Sophie and Pastor Simon.
Yeah.
What are your comments?
Okay, so I think I'll say there that that's a very toxic, very extremely toxic environment. It's an environment of abuse, as far as I'm concerned. And I think at that point, when I'm one of those people who say that I believe that marriage is forever, but that forever marriage takes two whole people to actually be together. And so at the point where there is a constant threat to leave, I'm asking, is there a marriage left at all? And has the death of that marriage already occurred, and it's just that we are not having the funeral? It's postponed, it's delayed. So it's a very, even as you are reading that question, my heart was just fearing, because it's one of those very difficult scenarios. And I think it's a drastic season, it's a drastic space. And they say that drastic measures need to be taken for drastic situations. So I'd say that that is at the point where you're beginning to say, is there a marriage at all? Do we need to part ways? Yes, I just said it. Those are very, very drastic moves, because at the end of the day, especially if children if now there are children, then the parents get lost in that toxicity. So the overflow, begins to happen, and nobody is now parenting these kids, or they're being parented by two very broken individuals. What are you doing to those children? And so just to say, it's extremely toxic. If they are children, it's a situation that, as far as I'm concerned, that requires evacuation of some lives before life is lost. So it's a very drastic thing. And I think people need to think about those things as you go down.
It's a drastic situation.
It's a drastic situation.
And I think, Pastor M, I think it's a hard question, because I've faced that where, one of the couples for like 4 years, there had been no conjugal rights, no sex because of that. Someone else just beginning to punish the other person. I would say, of course, try every intervention possible in terms of conversation, whether it's parents or pastors or any other person who, any of the two people, especially the person who is the one holding out, they respect, try and get intervention. If you have tried every intervention and it hasn't worked, then you could have an arrangement of separation, not divorce, but a separation where you say, okay, can we take some 3 months off to think whether we really want to work on this? I've seen that works in certain places. Of course, as a pastor, I never want to see people separate. But if it has gone into toxic measures and it's just getting worse and no intervention has worked, there's no listening, no one wants counseling, then you get to a point where you feel, okay, maybe we need some time off for a few months for us to know, do we really want to fight for this or not? And sometimes that may work, but yeah, it's always just a difficult situation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite drastic.
Well, I mean, I think maybe what I'll say from our side, one of the things we did when we first got married, and for those young couples watching this or couples who are dating, I would really encourage you to think about this. One of the things that we made a commitment is we say the D word, will never cross our language. That we will never threaten each other with separation or divorce. That's not on the table. And so we said, you're stuck with me, and that's what everybody says to each other anyway at the vows. But we actually contextualize our vows, and I told my wife, you're stuck with me. I mean, you're never going to hear me use this in an argument because it's not an option on the table. And I think having a little security, having that security when you're having the difficulties is actually very helpful, because once you know that that is a security there, then it allows you not to come into the conversation thinking, but what if what I did, and what if this person wants to. That was a great sense of security. There are times I felt my wife is very unhappy. There are times in our marriage I've just felt I'm in such trouble. My wife is just there's a dark cloud, But I think it just gave me some comfort knowing that I know that that's a commitment we've made. We're going to see ourselves through. Let me tell you, when your spouse is not feeling you, that's just the worst thing. Yeah? But just knowing that she's committed and we're going to work through this has been very helpful. But another thing that we committed to each other is we said that we'll never hit below the belt. And for us, below the belt is actually saying we argue above the belt. When we're having a disagreement, it is above the belt. Anything below the belt stays in the relationship. Our minds may be disagreeing. There's some things we need to discuss, but our bedroom is not involved in that argument. That chamber does not get involved. So we actually learned to say Pax. You say, okay.
Decentralizing the departments.
You say Pax.
Creating autonomy.
I know, exactly. You say, look, this is a decentralized function. This is actually an issue where we're saying, okay, look, this issue we're not agreeing today. Doesn't look like we're going to finish this story today. Can we just go Pax? We'll come back to this conversation tomorrow of unhappiness. But for now, a man's got needs, a woman's got needs. Let's get the job done. Let's enjoy ourselves, because the Bible actually talks about the fact that you should not withhold sexual rights to your spouse unless it's for prayer and fasting.
And even then, you don't fast for the year.
Yes, exactly. And so that was a commitment we made. And actually, that was such a helpful commitment, because in a sense, it means I never punish you because I'm unhappy with you. That's not my job. I'm always working towards reconciliation. Even when I'm unhappy with you or angry with you, it's never on the table that I can actually punish you by withdrawing conjugal rights. Because I think that's just another form of driving you away and manipulation. Yeah. And I think it's what somebody says, that if I win and you lose, we both lose. And that's the thing that both partners need to understand. There's an enemy out there, and the enemy is not my spouse. And if I punish my enemy and he loses and I win, then we both lose. So I think those are just some of the things that for us I found were very helpful when it came to those areas of disagreement. Yeah.
Excellent. I think, Pastor M, what I would add is when a person keeps threatening, then it's a sign of a deeper challenge. Yeah. If I keep threatening, I'm going to leave this thing. Then at some point, you need to look deep to see what is the root of that issue, because that's a bigger problem that someone needs to talk about, because it's manipulative, it's not healthy, even for the person, there's no commitment. So it's always to know that if you are the one who find yourself doing that, then just realize there are deeper issues, and it's good to dig deeper into that. And Pastor M, what you said is excellent. I think my wife told me that once, that I would never deny you this, whatever is happening. And to me, that was excellent. But I've had a lot of women push back, Pastor Carol, and say, but am I not going to feel like I'm being used? Because if my heart is not in this, then I'm going to feel like, you know, a prostitute. Some even say that badly. I'm going to feel like I'm being used because our hearts are not connected. So why don't we solve this and get to connect? But I don't think it's that. I think in marriage is to say we are here, we are building this together. Eventually, we want it to work, and we're not going, just like we don't stop eating because or cooking food in the house because we are annoyed with each other. Is to say there are some things that we'll keep blessing each other with, you know, because we want to be good to one another. But of course, if it's a bad case, I mean, there are times Sophia said, this is available, but I felt guilty without dealing with the issue and said, let's deal with the issue, and then let's do this. So I think just being together. Yeah, being humane with each other so that a man doesn't begin to demand. You heard what Pastor Iam said, you know, you must, and yet you are not doing any effort to solve the problems, you know. I think it should be that we make this healthy for each other as well.
And I think it's both ways, because, I mean, I feel one of the things that we learned a long time ago is that the emotional need of the wife is huge.
Yeah.
And emotional means that I'm actually affirming you. I'm a friend. I'm supporting you, and that actually sometimes to a woman can actually even be more. Not even sometimes. That's actually a huge thing for a woman. And I think when I understand that's my wife's need, then I don't withhold that from her because I'm annoyed. I still understand that I need to actually compliment her. I need to be her friend. I need to care for her. Because my feeling towards the issue is not my feeling towards her. And she needs to know that those two things are separate. I'm angry about this issue we're not coming to a conclusion on, but I can park that for now because you look beautiful and because I'll always be married to you, you know? And I can hug you and tell you have a good day as you go to work. Even though we've not resolved and we're coming back to resolve when you come home. I think for me, it's that whole withholding issue. It's both sexual and emotional needs for your spouse, because we're here to serve each other. And I think once I understand that, then I'm able to separate the issue from our relationship.
Yeah.
So I think for that person who asked that question, I think it's so important that you understand that, because when I withhold emotion from my spouse, then I'm pushing them away. And it becomes very hard to reconnect. I don't know what you think.
I think so. I think for me, I remember I think you even automated it. You kind of automated it. And in the thick of our drama stage, and when, you know, of course, when we're still adjusting to one another, learning one another,
irritating each other,
he, without fail, every morning will tell me that he loves me, without fail. And I think it was a mental where he kissed me and tell me that he loves me.
I had a process every morning, regardless of how we went to bed.
Yes,
I'd kiss her, I'd hug her, and tell her I love you.
Yeah.
And every evening before we went to bed, I'd kiss her and hug her, tell her, even if we'd had a really bad disagreement.
Yeah, and I think what that did for me is that it gave me a lot of security. Just, you know what, this man is still committed to me, no matter what would be going through. But then I also think biblically, when we think about love, it is, I'd hate to say this, it's not an emotion. Because, you know, the emotions go, you know, the high emotions go, but love is a commitment. And when we even think of the definition of love, according to Corinthians, it is love is patient, love is kind, it does not keep a record of wrong. I mean, it's very, very practical. And sometimes I think that aspect can get lost in the middle of the fight. And I believe when we honor God and love according to the way that he has asked us to love, imagine, I believe he brings breakthrough. God rewards. God is a just God. And I believe that he brings breakthrough in that relationship. So I think for anybody who's listening out there and you're feeling this thing is very one-sided, I'm the only one who seems to be putting an effort, I believe that there's some things that you saw in the spirit. I believe there are things that you saw in the spirit. Because, you know, Galatians does say, you know, do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. You reap what you sow. If you sow, or you sow what you reap. You reap what you sow. So if you sow to please the sinful nature, from that nature you're going to sow death.
To reap death.
But if you sow to please the Spirit, then from the Spirit you're going to reap life. And I believe that we're not talking about eternal. It talks about eternal life. We're not just talking about heaven, but we're also talking about here on earth. If you want your marriage to be revived and revitalized, I think just sow into the Spirit.
I mean, I'd love to hear, Pastor Sophie, how you've sown into the Spirit in your marriage. Whether there are times when you've just given without feeling like you're getting back. Has that ever been the case where you just felt, hey, this is ministry now? Or has it been flowers? Has it been flowers and roses for you all the time?
I think I was actually going to say, the question where you asked, how do you train women? How do you train men? Yeah. I think there's something that came to me last year. I think when Simon escaped death, in a quite a bad road accident. And I sat down as I was processing that, just to ask myself, just to ask myself processing that. And I realized that first of all, God owes me nothing. Life owes me nothing. What I have is a privilege and it is a favor from God. And so I begin at life from the place of contentment. And to say that even when we are fighting and things are thick, there's a woman out there crying for the Lord to give her a husband. I have one. Yeah. Okay, I might be mad with him now, but I have one. Just beginning from the place of contentment and gratefulness, and ditching the entitlement, because I think also the entitlement is part of what brings a lot of conflict, where you feel, because he's not doing this, I deserve this, he should make me, he should do, she should do. I think that's actually one of the things that breaks down a relationship very quickly. So just being grateful, knowing that everything is fleeting, nothing lasts forever. When you have it, be grateful for it, and be a good steward of that relationship. Wow. Now, one of the things that I made a commitment to is that even in the middle of our fights, I never stop serving. I still serve, I still cook, I still, make the tea. I every day, even when we have had a big fight, every day I go to bed knowing today could be the night that we are getting down.
Pastors don't have fights. We just have holy
animated conversations.
Sorry, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think that is part of what I'm calling growing up, and deciding that, the union is greater than me. The union is greater than what I feel I deserve. I mean, it's for posterity. And I think the other thing that I've committed to is when it comes to let's say conjugal rights. I mean, I am the only legit source that should be supplying that particular need. So what am I saying at the point where, I decide that, it's not going to happen. Okay. And there are times, by the way, I've said, today I'm so heavy hearted. Can we take a break? So at the point where that happens, there is communication about it. And there is a commitment to resolve. Really, I don't know how else to live this life. I'm just trying to think. I don't know what I would do not talking to someone for 6 months. I think I would go crazy. What are my kids seeing? What examples am I showing them? I mean, it's for me, it's a very big issue. And so, yes, many times I have said it's more than me. It's actually about God. I'm respecting God first, and Simon gets to be the beneficiary of that respect and that honor that I'm first giving to God. Yeah.
I just feel we have couples. I mean, we have all kinds of couples on our show, and we've got older couples, younger couples.
Yeah.
But I really love just the wisdom that you guys are sharing, because I think my prayer is somebody who's getting married right now is getting this sense that marriage is not easy.
Yeah.
It's not a bed of roses. There's going to be thorns. There's going to be challenges, and there's a maturity that is called. And what I'm hearing you speak is what I'm seeing you demonstrate what you said, because you said it's about growing up.
It is.
And those things you're saying are very grown up things, where you're saying, I choose to obey God and you're a beneficiary. You know, I'm not doing this slavishly because you're my husband. It's God I'm obeying. You're a beneficiary. And that's just maturity. That's a different level. Or even saying, choose which battles to fight. Not every battle is worth fighting. Or even saying, be grateful. You know, there are people who don't have a home. There are people who wish they had what you have, and just choosing to count blessings as opposed to being entitled. I mean, that's really
good.
intense.
Yeah. And I also like the point where you said you take personal responsibility for the marriage. You know, you're not waiting for the other person to change, but you take, and that's part of growing up.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, because if you're waiting for each other to change, I mean, that's crazy.
You'll be children until this marriage ends.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed with this whole story of silent treatment, and I mean, we're going to be drawing it to a close, but I'm noticing that there's two different streams.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the stream that Pastor S talked about, where it's like, I just need time to process. And I don't think that's only just men. I think that in marriages, I mean, in our marriage, it's Carol who's that person who just needs time to process.
Yeah.
And that's a different story where that used to be so frustrating. I'm a bit like Pastor Sophie, where I'm like, come on, let's get this thing done. I mean, why are we delaying? I mean, now is the time. It's hot. Strike it when it's hot.
Yeah.
And I think that would just cause all kinds of chaos and frustration for me, and even more retreat from her.
I felt you were talking so fast. I mean, I'm like, there's too much information to process at the same time. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. So you'd shut down, and I'd be more frustrated. I'd talk faster. So it just doesn't work.
It didn't help at all.
So I feel like there's that stream of people, and I think we need solution for that stream, and maybe a word from them. Yeah. And then we've got the stream of people who use silence as a tool and it's like my weapon. It's like the thing I use to bludgeon you into compliance.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, Carol, you could say something about that. Are there some things that from your perspective to each of those groups would be helpful?
And I think we do have some 3 tips that we would have for you. Some of them I think are just from some of our own life story. And one of them, which we have mentioned but would like to reiterate right now, is calling for a time off or a time out. And
I think Pastor S mentioned that.
He mentioned that as well. Yeah. And it's like a pact, you know. Kids play this game when you get when you're almost being tapped, or you feel, you know, you're running out of breath, you say pact. And but it's only for a limited time, and it's an agreed upon time. And it's a good thing to agree, you know.
So this is for the spouse who's feeling overwhelmed, who's feeling you're moving too fast.
Yeah. And in fact, we would say after this evening, or, you know, as a takeout, because we're hoping that you're applying the things that we're talking about, have the conversation and explain to your spouse what really is happening when you shut down. You know, explain and just say, this is what I'm feeling. I mean, you know, or this is what is going on in my mind. And then agree, can we have a time out and limit it to about 2 to 3 days? You know, just because I know, you know, the other spouse really gets frustrated when the matter lingers for too long. But, you know, just have that kind of a time out.
I like, and for us, we really learned that, because we learned, if you just say, give me time out, and you don't come, she would actually ask for it, and then the issue passes. Somebody had even asked in the group, what if by the time you're finished with your thinking, I've already moved on, you know?
Yeah.
So I think just giving a very clear, let's talk on Wednesday at 5 after work. That allowed me now to feel, okay, she's not running away from the issue.
Yeah.
She's processing it.
Yeah.
And maybe, because I think it's a personality thing, and I think we have close personality types. I feel like sometimes it's good to agree how to communicate. Like, there are times I don't know how to communicate, but then I'll send a text and say, you know, I'm in this process, and we can talk tomorrow, because I feel like if I begin to talk, then I'll be worked up because of where I am at. So agreeing on some ways of conversation, and then for the other personality that is like Pastor M, that wants to, let's deal with this. Then I think one of the things I had to tell Sophie, when I send that text, please don't attack the issue. I'm just informing you because I need the time. So if you begin to attack it or raise other things, then I'll feel like I'm not heard. So you are pushing me further even away. Just say, I've heard you. I'll wait for us to have a conversation. But if you begin to say, but, and this and that, then it feels like we're already fighting in the text, and yet I needed time just to process this so that I can come out and we talk.
I love that, because that's actually what it is. It's like the second thing is give the other person space. When they ask for it, respect their need to process and give them the space to do that. Don't raise your voice. Don't speak faster. Don't give objections. Just agree with them. Like, just enter a space of saying, okay, let's clarify with them. So what you're saying is, we're going to come back 2 days from now. We're going to discuss the issues. Here are the issues we're coming to discuss. All right, that's done. And for us, once we did that, we were on parks. Everything else continued in our marriage because we knew we had a date we were coming back to discuss.
But I think we also agreed that you don't talk loudly, because I can't hear.
No, me, that's, I don't know. For me, when I don't think you don't, you ever seen the movies when people are talking to, usually it's Americans talking to other people, and when you're not understanding, they speak louder. I think I'm like that.
You speak louder. I was like, I can't hear.
So make ground rules, I guess.
And I remember you saying it's your family of origin.
That's where I come from. In my family, we talk loud.
And I think that felt very threatening. But I think we also said no shouting, no ridiculing, no putting down, no trying to put down your spouse, especially for the more assertive one, because it does not help the spouse who would call the runner type. It does not help them at all. All those, they don't at all. So just tone down.
Because they're always fighters and they're runners. So for fighters, tone down. For the runners, negotiate for some space.
And then the third one that we have is to sharpen your communication skills. I mean, we have said, no one ever tells you, when we're growing up, you don't even imagine that learning how to communicate is something that you should know as an adult. And families barely equip their children or their members on their communication skills. And so probably if you've come from a place where silent treatment is a strategy, then I would say for sure you definitely do need help. You do need to sharpen your communication skills. And then I also love the tool that Pastor Simon gave us of sachet. I mean, I thought that was really brilliant. If that can be part of your family culture, I love the fact that you say you talk about it with your children. In fact, I thought for me, my takeout from this session is that I would like for us to
actually have a family conversation of that.
To incorporate
actually,
that.
I learned that as well.
To incorporate that, just so that we can make it a culture. Because there are times that are going to come when we need to cash in, when we need to have difficult conversations.
And the thing is, I came from a loud family, but I also came from a family that did not validate feeling. So when you say you're sad, it's like, aren't you praying? I mean, come on, what's wrong?
Yes.
Like get a life. So you actually feel guilt, and I think I sometimes might do this to my kids, where it's almost like I expect positivity, which invalidates when somebody's sad, like you're saying, when they're tender. And so I think that's a big takeout for us. So I hope that this is helpful for somebody. Create the rules of engagement. I think Diane put what we're saying right now in a very good summary. For those of you where the real issue is communication, it's you feel overwhelmed when your spouse comes on too strong, create some rules of engagement as a family that would allow you to take the parks, allow you to give the space, and allow you to grow in communication. Let's talk about the second type. Because the second category is those ones who use silent treatment as a club, as a weapon, to control, to manipulate. And there's just a spirit of unforgiveness there. So maybe you guys we can all chip in. Maybe Carol, what do you tell that person in that space?
Yeah.
Either they're doing it, or because I saw some people in the group today who are surprised. Actually, I really loved our groups today, because I saw people saying, my God, I do this all the time. Somebody said, I did this for 4 months. I didn't even realize. I'm hearing you guys talk. I'm finally seeing how my spouse must have felt.
Yeah.
So what do you say to that person?
Yeah, I feel, in fact, if I could just share a little bit, I think there's a time one of our kids will say, I'll forgive you tomorrow.
I've heard them say that. Yes.
Say that. But underlying this behavior is actually a spirit of unforgiveness. I think let's call it, what it is. And as we had said before, a person may come from a family where this strategy is used to control others, but let's call it what it is. It is actually sin. Having an unforgiving spirit is actually sin. And God does not condone unforgiveness. In fact, when you punish your spouse this way, you're opening up yourself to the enemy completely. You would imagine that you're doing that to your spouse, but you're actually doing it to yourself.
Yeah. I love that. I don't know, Pastor S, Sophie, what do you guys say to that person who's using this in a way to bludgeon their spouse?
Well, I think what I'd add before Sophie says something is, and I saw someone who was listening from far out, was saying silence helps you avoid being charged with murder.
One way to put it.
That's pretty, but I think part of it is emotional management as well. I think when you talk about emotional intelligence, some of it is emotional awareness and emotional management. How do you manage your emotions? Because I think some people have are short-tempered, so they don't want to talk because they may say some things they can never take out, and so they keep quiet, and then they keep quiet for too long. So I think it would be good for all of us to learn how to manage our emotions. Daniel Goleman's book on emotional intelligence, it's just a very good book around being able to understand how to manage your own emotions, if that is the case, because sometimes that's the case. You just don't know what to say or what to do. And being able to appreciate your emotions and use them for good. Because someone has said emotions are like the dashboard. They're indicators of what's going on in the engine. And if you don't obey them and begin to understand them and use them, then your engine might knock.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's
well
interesting.
said. I think when it comes to the people who, I'm just thinking, by the way, and I know I may be taking us back a little bit, but there are some people who going silent is their way of protecting themselves from what they perceive to be an unsafe relationship.
Yeah.
So really, I don't have, okay, so it means then in that case, someone is feeling threatened, and they're feeling, how I keep myself safe is actually by keeping quiet. So basically, yes, really what Simon says is what I'm saying in these many words, that if silent treatment is going on, it is an indication of brokenness, and brokenness needs to be fixed. And depending on the level of brokenness, fixing may be a process. You start somewhere, so you deal with it at a certain level. In another conflict, maybe it manifests again, and something that you have done habitually over many years will really take a long time for it to go. So I think we need to exercise grace and patience with each other. Know that there's where this person is coming from. We need to give each other permission to keep each other accountable over the things that we have agreed. And this also goes, by the way, even into parenting, because like I say, a lot of marriages, they begin as two people, and they quickly, sooner or later, it expands to the children. So everything I do, for me, I never think about that it is Simon and I always think about, it's my daughter. She is learning what she will take into her next family. We are her family of origin. And how we are now relating, we are passing on things to our grandchildren even before they are born. And I think that thought really, really, really sobers me up when I get caught up in my emotions. It really does sober me up. So just keep in light of the bigger picture, and what are you building? What seeds are you planting for the future? Because eventually you're going to, I mean, with every sowing there is a harvest, and you plant one seed, and that seed multiplies many, many times over. You never plant one bean and harvest a bean. You harvest beans, many, many, many beans. So also having a perspective, a futuristic perspective, and saying, who am I sending out to the world? Because now our culture, like I say, somebody else's daughter or somebody else's son, whoever gets married into this family, will either experience it as a blessing, or it will be the thing that they're forever praying and fasting about, because now they are being oppressed. Yeah.
Full of deep things, man. You're making me shake now, just thinking the sense of responsibility we all have, because you're right, what the silent treatment I'm giving my wife, I'm teaching my son to do the same. And so I'm creating a seed for my grandkids to be cursed, And so it's not about me. It's not about how I feel about my wife. This is much bigger than us. And our reconciling, our commitment to be godly and to walk in a godly way, our commitment to work on ourselves, to grow up first, not to wait for the other person. There's a lot more at stake than just how I feel or how my husband feels. So I love those comments.
There's a question that came over here that I thought is very quick. That we can answer.
It needs to be quick because we're almost out of time.
And it asks, is separation allowed in the Bible?
Yeah, we talked a lot about that last week. So I'm going to just push someone back to that. Remember with Alex and Vera, and we talked about the fact that it is a measure of extreme last resort. That we will always choose that even when a separation does happen as a last resort, it is always with the perspective of reconciliation. That it's always for the sake of reconciliation. I mean, that's the only godly thing I can say to that.
It's only for the sake of dealing with the issue.
The issue, so we can reconcile.
So that now we can reconcile.
And even that space needs to be refereed. We talked about referees last time. You need people who are holding you accountable to the time agreed. You need to be working with counselors together as you're doing that. So I think that would be our biblical caveat on that. But they're great comments. Diane says silence sometimes is a need where the person is actually saying, I need you, and the spouse can actually help the other out by drawing them out lovingly, a hug of assurance or of love. So thank you so much, Diane, for that. Felix says, when you plant a bean, you harvest beans. That's a direct quote from Pastor Sophie. With every sowing, there's a harvest, Maggie says. And Beatrice says, statement of the day, marriage is your last chance to grow up. Very sobering. Every other conversation tonight is a rider. I mean, basically for her, that's what she's taken out of this. This is what this thing is about. Emily Ems picked this from Pastor S. Emotions are like a dashboard, indicators of what's happening in the engine. You ignore the emotions, there will be that was powerful. There will be an engine knock. And so when you start feeling the emotions are disconnecting, you need to pay attention and figure out what's happening. And those are some really great comments on Facebook.
I don't have any other.
You don't have other comments to add to that.
Yeah, there's a Vicky Mweni from California, Redlands. We're saying, so glad you made this online. Watching from here. I've been married for 5 years and enjoying every bit of it. Marriage works.
Wow.
Good for you, Vicky.
That's a great thing to say. And after 5 years too, that's an awesome thing to be still saying. I love that.
5 years we were not.
We were not quite saying that. But I'm glad you're saying it, Vicky. Marriage works. Marriage actually works.
Thank God.
Yeah. And I love everything going on today. There's just so much wisdom.
Someone asked if there's a recording after this.
Yes, the recordings will stay up on YouTube or wherever you're watching it. Whether it's on Facebook, you'll be able to come and just access it from the same source. And so, guys, this is so awesome. We love this. I think one of the other things we always say on this show is please seek counseling. If you're in a place where you feel like your things are not working for you, it's just not holding together, you can always get help. Pastor Simon talked about talking to a pastor, getting help, getting a counselor. That's not a sign of weakness. Even Tiger Woods needs a coach. All the best sportsmen need coaches. None of us was built knowing how to run this thing. And so if you need to get help, please do. And if you're once you're in the, if you want to whether you're part of whether you talk to Pastor Simon and Sophie, they have networks as well, and Man Enough and Ezra are great programs to help you grow. Because that's the other thing I was going to say, apart from seek help, is you need to grow. Work on me, pray for them. Stop working on them and praying for you. And one of the ways you work on you is by inputting into yourself. So if you're a man, take Man Enough. That's a great way for you to just begin to understand who God created you to be. If you're a woman, take Ezra. Come on as a couple and take Couples and Money on Door. And these are just things that you can begin to do that help you grow to be who God is calling you to be. Taking responsibility for yourself, not waiting for the other person to grow. I think those are some of the things we're saying. And then another thing we always say is grow, build a community around you. Don't be isolated, because the devil loves it when you're isolated. Who are your family friends? Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. If you're surrounded with people who don't believe in marriage, then your marriage is actually doomed. So this is one of the reasons we invite you into the Ndoa Couples community. Connect with other people who believe in marriage, who are walking that journey. Get your friends to join as well. And let's just walk together. Let's create, our vision is just to create this huge community of couples who believe marriage works and who are a model for our generation that marriage with Jesus is a powerful thing. And so we're so excited, Pastor Simon and Sophie, that you're here with us. I'm going to actually ask you guys to pray, because I suspect there are couples here who've been in a place where there's a lot of pain because of this issue. And I love the fact that you guys were so open with us to say, we've been there. We've felt the pain of silent treatment. We felt the pain of lack of communication. And so I sense that you would have a way of praying that would be a blessing to somebody. So if you could just pray for the men and women who are hurting and suffering right now, that God would give them a resolve to act on the things they've had today. So I don't know which one of you is going to be our pastor, and just conclude for.
All right, I've been nominated, so let me pray.
There's a nudge under the table.
Let me pray. Lord, we're just grateful that we can have this conversation. We thank you for the beauty and power that marriage brings to our lives. Just the power to love one another and to grow, and to begin to bring the best out of ourselves for the other person. It's just such an opportunity to serve another and to receive from another. We pray for many of us who are struggling, those of us who have listened, those who might be struggling tomorrow, that God, you will help us to have a grace to look in, to swallow our pride and deal with the issues that we have talked about. We pray that you help us build the communities, take the steps that we've talked about, but also be able to talk to one another and come up with strategies of making sure that our marriages are healthier than they are today. So we just speak a blessing, encouragement for those who feel like throwing in the towel. They'll pick up the towel and use it to serve the other person, and trust that the Lord is going to come through for them. And we pray that you convict those who need the conviction, those of us who become more the aggressors, the ones who are hurting the others. Lord, convict us and bring us to a place where we can turn around and become the kind of couples that would be a blessing. So we bless everyone, and we thank you for the great conversations in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Hey, Pastor Simon and Sophie, thank you so much for taking time out of your crazy, crazy schedules. We're so honored. We love you guys. We're really grateful for you. And we know that what you've poured into many couples today, I know, may God reward you, because it's been incredible. It's been refreshing. And thank you for everyone else who was watching, all of you who watch from across the world. We're so grateful you can be part of our conversation. Next week, we continue. And we're going to have a brand new topic. Every week we have a topic that we just talk about. The whole idea is a mentoring community where you strengthen your marriage. And I just can't wait to see what God's going to do as we walk this journey together. So thank you guys, and God bless, and good night. Pastor Simon and Sophie, good night.
Good night. Thank you for having us.
We appreciate it.
Welcome. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Okay, bless you too.
Bye.